Welcome to another episode of The Inquisitive Analyst. I'm your host, Marcus Udikang. It's the show where we chat with business analysts and project managers about their triumphs and challenges, their ideas and their contribution to their field. It's inspiring, it's upbeat, it's exciting, but most of all, it's inquisitive. My guest today is an industrial engineer and business analyst. She helps organizations make those crucial data-driven decisions. She's got this intercultural mindset because she's lived in 3 countries and she's visited about 15 of them. And recently, she moved from Colombia to Canada. So please help me welcome to today's show, Maria Becerra. Welcome, Maria.
Thank you, Marcos, and thank you for having me here today.
Hey, you're very welcome. And thanks for joining us all the way from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so you've been involved with the postgraduate certificate business analysis program at Mohawk College. And as a recent immigrant to Canada, how did you get started in business analysis in Canada?
Sure. So before I continue, I would like to clarify that I see business analysis as a mindset. So I used to help companies enable change before coming here to Canada. So I was already a business analyst there. And I started here, as you mentioned, in a college certificate program at Mohawk. And I chose this specific program because they give you the opportunity to have a field experience, like a field placement, they call it. And unfortunately, because of COVID, it got canceled. But we also took a course called Professional Development and Networking. And that helped me a lot to start my career as business analyst here in Canada, because I started to reach out to people and ask questions about how is it to be a business analyst here? What employers are looking for? How is it in your company? What's your day-to-day activities? So having that curiosity was crucial to start my career. I also reached out to recruiters and hiring managers and leveraged my previous experience to Canadian experience. So if you are a newcomer or an immigrant and you're listening to this podcast, wherever you are, be aware that your past experience will also help you start here in Canada.
Yeah, that's very important, I think, being able to transition with your skills that are transferable. That's very important. And actually, that brings me to my next question. How did you find the transition from Colombia to Canada? I mean, were there any hurdles that you had to overcome?
In terms of the work, I would say there was not that difference. I used to work for multinational companies, so I'm currently working for a large retail company, and as my previous experience, the projects are very similar, processes are documented, so I haven't found difficulties there. I would say that in terms of the language, it was a barrier at the beginning. I speak Spanish as my first language, and even though I lived in the USA for a couple of years, coming here to Canada was like starting over again. I felt like I was very intimidated about public speaking, about technical words. When I find these gaps, I start to work on them. So I started to read technical books, listen to podcasts, videos, and so on. And I recently joined Toastmaster as well, because it helps me to gain the confidence that I was missing. So yeah, I would say that the language barrier was a hurdle that I'm trying to work on that.
Yeah, learning a new language, and not just that, you learn a foreign language in your own country, when that foreign language is just slightly different. So when you go to that country where of the language that you learned, you find out, there's all these subtle nuances I never learned back home. I have to tweak the English a bit. So
yeah, exactly. And before we continue, Marcus, I would say that another hurdle now that I remember was networking. When I was in Colombia, well, when I was a kid, my mom used to say, like, don't talk to strangers, don't reply to any stranger that you see there, right? So coming here and reaching out to people, as I was mentioning, like through LinkedIn, it was hard. I felt like embarrassed to reach out for help. But then I realized that no, people are willing to help, people are willing to share their knowledge, just as you did when I connected to you a couple of months ago. So yeah, reaching out to others, it's essential here in Canada, or at least in North America.
Well, Canadians, they say Canadians are very friendly people. So, you know, we have nothing to hide. So come on. All right.
Yeah.
So you're involved with this predictive and prescriptive analytics solutions, right? So let's get down to this nitty gritty. You created those dynamic sales reports, you know, for sales teams using those BI tools and databases to monitor business performance and analyze areas of improvement. So how much of a challenge was that for you to do this?
I would say that it was not a real challenge. It was kind of fun, actually. To give you an idea of what was happening there, let me tell you kind of an analogy. Imagine you have to go to your client to negotiate your net offer and payment conditions, but the information that you have is from 2 or 3 days ago. And that was exactly what was happening with the sales team. They didn't have key information like current prices, the devaluation of the currency, and so on. So the decisions were not very accurate. And even though the information was up to date in our systems, they didn't have it handy. So I started to figure out like a way to help them and started to explore some tools that I had available. And I found out that we have this business intelligence tool that the company had available for everyone. And I didn't have idea of how to use it, but again, that curiosity from a business analyst helped me to find out how I could connect it with a database and eventually to the account manager's mobile phones. And now when they go to their meetings, they can see the information before going with a proposal. So yeah, that curiosity helps you in every role that you have.
Oh, fantastic. Great. Wonderful. So you've got experience negotiating, forecasting monthly goals monthly goals of sales for key products. Take us through your experience forecasting as a BA.
Forecasting, yeah. I would say that this business analysis mindset is crucial when we need to forecast. As you said, I was forecasting sales, right? So regardless of the tool that we have to use or that you have available, you need to know not only your historical data, but also the context from the people who are actually in the field. For example, let's say my business model is business to business, and my data is telling me that the goal for the next month is $1 million. So I could go with that number and set it as my goal and pay the commission to my account managers based on that amount. But what happens if next month, the 5 companies that give me that $1 million, 2 of them are in bankruptcy? Or what if the political issues have contributed to companies to close? So I would not be paying fairly to my account managers. Now let's go to the other extreme. What if my account managers were very proactive and they brought 5 more companies, and now my sales were not only 1 million, but 2 million. So I would be paying more commission to them. So having that connection between your data and your stakeholders, in this case, let's call them the country managers, and putting the dots together helps you give valuable information. And also reading the news and having into account all the things that are going on in the world, it's important for forecasting.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, it's good about that relationship, being able to explain the data to the client in a simple and understandable way, right? So that's great. Cool. Okay, so you've worked closely with cross-functional departments, you know, and teams to help them sort of define those key metrics and support day-to-day requests for data analysis and reports. How did you find that experience?
I would say that this one was challenging, but again, fun because it involves data. And I would say challenging because sometimes the teams don't really know what they want. They want data, but they don't really know what they are looking for. So you need to try to elicit information from them and try to understand what's the scope they're looking for. So sometimes I would say, okay, I want to see all the purchases or all the sales. And then I would go back to them and say, okay, but what is the time frame? What countries do you want me to include? Do you want me to compare with other business units? So yeah, trying to have that elicitation skill is important. And Oh, another thing is that sometimes these other teams, since they are not like involved in these data analysis processes, they are not aware of the behind of the scenes. So they think that asking for an ad hoc report can take like up to 5 minutes. And it might be true when the reports are automated and they are frequent. But when those are like new reports, you need to pull the data sometimes from different systems, clean it, make the visualizations, and then present it. So those two things I would say were the challenging part, but again, everything that involves data is fun. So having the opportunity to help others is good.
Nice. All right, cool. So you've supported the business needs of sales teams. You know, you're tracking milestones and providing those recommendations to improve performance. How important was tracking milestones to you?
Oh, I would say that it was very, very important. And not only for me, but for the entire team, because having a sense of where we are, where we needed to go next, it helped us get focused in our next steps and also help us to stay in track and sometimes take the corrective actions if they were needed. So definitely very important.
All right, excellent. Well, fantastic. You're like a storehouse of knowledge. You've got all this stuff down pat. This is good. Excellent. All right, this is an intriguing conversation.
Yeah,
So,
I think it's because I have been able to work for different departments and also different industries. So that kind of opens your mind to different techniques or tools or skills to improve every role. So yeah, that's good.
yeah, and I think this is something that business analysts do, is you're constantly growing from job to job. You're constantly picking up new skills. You know, you learn all this stuff for, say, a certificate. You go out to the workforce, you may only be doing one or two of those things, and then at another job you do another two or three things. And after a number of years, you pick up a whole bunch of stuff. And yeah, it's not an overnight thing, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great, cool. So let's ask, during those business processes, you've been able to provide gap analysis, after performing those as is or to be analysis diagrams, or recommending those viable solutions in terms of a budget, time, scope. Can you explain any challenges that you found during this process?
Yes, absolutely. I would say that one of the challenges was recommending the budget for the solution that I was giving. As part of the multinational companies, our budget is given in American dollars, USD. So the fluctuation of the currency impact all our planning. Especially in countries in South America where political decisions can impact the devaluation of the currency. So as a business analyst, I need to find out the balance to leave room for these changes that I'm mentioning, but also to be aware that I should not be increasing the cost of the recommendation. And again, it was all about data analysis, but also about the context of the country and the situation that was going on. So yeah, it was kind of hard in terms of budget, but yeah, at the end, everything works well.
Cool. I went on the Statistics Canada website. I had to do a paper for a course I was taking, and I found out that the Canadian government allows 450,000 immigrants into the country every year, and a large portion of these are skilled immigrants like yourself. So I think bringing people like yourself to Canada is certainly a bonus. There's no doubt about that.
Thank you, Marcus. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. So you've reported and tracked incidents that are related to IT projects using Jira. You've used Jira.
Yes.
You've developed use case programs, business flow diagrams, activity state diagrams, sequence. I mean, the list is endless. And of course, you've also used MS Visio and SharePoint. So how do you like using Jira, MS Visio, and SharePoint?
Yeah, those are great tools. I can't believe I have done that much. Okay, so as you know, Jira is used to track issues and bugs related to software. And that's what I used it for when I was in Colombia. So it was very easy. It's a good tool. But it's kind of interesting here in Canada because I use it to track orders for production. So I work for a freelance project, and the company already had Jira, but they were not using it at all. So we put it into functionality to track the orders and assign them to the production manufacturing part. So giving it another different purpose, like open your mind to new possibilities, it's always nice. About Microsoft Visio, I use it to model processes, and it's a great tool because when you model processes, it's easier to identify opportunities, to identify gaps that we might have, and of course, work on them. So it's very useful also for non-technical people because they can see exactly what's going on, what's happening. And yeah, it gives you a new perspective of what's going on. And about SharePoint, I really love SharePoint. And I feel like it's an underestimated tool, let's call it, because it's actually very powerful. And even if you connect it with Power Automate Desktop, you can automate daily activities, repetitive tasks that you have to do. For example, I can go to SharePoint, update a line, and then we can connect it with Power Automate Desktop, send a notification to your team, or a report, or something like that. So I feel like it's underestimated. So yeah, having that curiosity to learn new tools is important because technology is changing very quickly. And maybe 6 months from now, these tools that we are mentioning are going to be outdated. So what really matters, again, is the ability to learn, the curiosity, and the ability also to adapt to ever-changing environments.
It's cool. Yeah, the thing I like about Visio is that it's relatively easy to learn. Well, same with SharePoint. Maybe a bit less so with Jira, but when I started using Jira 4 or 5 years ago, maybe even 6 years ago, it was strictly a ticketing system, and that's all you could do with it. Now there's Confluence. Well, there was Confluence too, but not as sophisticated as it is now. And now Jira does like these Scrum, tables or agile types. It's just, there's so much stuff you can do with it. And the cool thing I find about Visio and SharePoint is that all these Microsoft apps connect with each other really, really well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So,
and for example, Jira also lets you automate activities. So let's say you click, you assign it to another person, it moves to another person, to another activity, and it can send you notifications. So yeah, it has improved a lot.
Well, cool, awesome. Yeah, of course. I know I mentioned Jira, MS Visio, and SharePoint. I mean, these are sort of like standard apps that I think business analysts should use, should at least know, in addition to the Microsoft Word and Excel as well. But yeah, these are definitely key. There's no doubt about it. So Maria, if anyone in the audience wants to get in touch with you, how can they do so?
I would say through LinkedIn. You can find me as Maria Becerra and send me a message. I'll be happy to connect, to change experience, share journeys, and help each other to succeed here.
That's awesome. Actually, just a quick question, if I can. So we just a message to other people from Colombia or anywhere else in the world who want to come to Canada. You had a number of struggles you talked about and how you overcame it. If someone comes here, what would you suggest they do to get into the BA field?
Yeah, I would say again to network. That's essential. And networking well. So you have to actually read how to network, because people think that networking is just connecting to a person and asking them, oh, please help me with this job. And it's not like that. Networking is more like changing experiences, journeys, reaching out to others to understand them as a human first. And then eventually maybe that person that you connected as a human can connect you to another that can help you find a job. Who knows? But first, put the person first. And yeah, so networking, I would say, is essential. Read a lot about how to do it. Also, read how to tailor your resume. In Colombia, I used to have like a 3 pages resume with no bullet points at all. And it worked well for me there, but not here. Here, you need to go to the point, show your value, your work. And yeah, that would be my recommendation. Network, work in your professional development as well, and reach out to people for help. There are also a lot of IIBA local chapters in most of the cities here in Canada or even in the world. So connect with them and reach out to other business analysts that will help you mentor and leverage your experience.
Yeah, I think that's key, mentoring and leveraging. Actually, it's funny you mentioned that because I worked in China and I had to do a resume for China. And on my resume, it's not like here, I had to have columns, I had to have my picture, and I had to have my birthday. Oh, it's just complicated. So yeah, wherever you go in the world, you've got to learn how things are done.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, well, great. Well, thanks very much, Maria. This has been a pleasant conversation, and you're always welcome back another time.
Thank you, Marcos, and thank you for this initiative. It's very nice that other people know like what is it to be a BA or a project manager in the world. So it's a great experience for people who are listening. Thank you for that.
Oh, you're very welcome. Well, have a great day, and I hope the Hamilton weather is keeping you warm.
Yes, thank you. Bye.
All right.